Did the apostles keep the feast days that we see in Leviticus 23? Let's learn. Acts chapter 2. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. Who? The apostles. The apostles keeping the day of Pentecost. Let's turn. Acts chapter 12. Now about that time Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church, and he killed James the brother of John with the sword, and because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. So when Peter was apprehended and put into prison, it was during the days of unleavened bread, another feast of the Lord that you see in Leviticus 23. Yes. Now we're going to do Paul. And he, Paul, came to Ephesus and left them there, but he himself entered into the synagogue and reasoned with the Jews. When they desired him to tarry longer time with them, he consented not, but bade them farewell, saying, I must by all means keep this feast that cometh in Jerusalem. But I will return again unto you, if God will. And he sailed from Ephesus. Wait a second, so Paul, in Acts 18, says he needs to go back to Jerusalem to keep a certain feast. It doesn't say what feast, but a certain feast he has to go back to Jerusalem to keep. This is Paul, the one the Christians used to say we don't have to keep feast days, but Paul himself is keeping the feasts. Let's turn. Paul again. And we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread. Wait a second, so Paul kept unleavened bread in another nation or city, Philippi, a Greek city called Philippi. So he wasn't even in Jerusalem, but he was still keeping feast days, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Philippi. Let's keep going. In Acts chapter 20, verse 16. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus, because he would not spend the time in Asia, for he hasted, if it were possible for him, to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost, another feast day in Leviticus 23 that Paul was going to keep. Pentecost. Unleavened bread, which means they also kept Passover and Tabernacles and any other feast day in Leviticus 23. And we must keep it too.